Getting a home loan can feel like a total black box. You hand over this mountain of paperwork, you cross your fingers, and you just wait. But what is actually happening behind the scenes? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and follow the secret journey of a home loan, from the second you apply to the day it's all paid off. I mean, it's a huge source of anxiety, isn't it? You hit that submit button and then radio silence. But trust me, your application isn't just sitting in some digital inbox. It's kicking off this incredibly detailed and frankly fascinating process.
Yeah, it's not just a single event. It's a whole saga. Think of it like a quest. It has a bunch of different stages. It starts with just creating the loan application, then it has to survive these tough appraisals, and it finally ends with either you paying it all back or, in some cases, with the bank trying to recover its money. So let's follow that path, step by step.
So where does this all begin? Well, the very first step is what the industry calls sourcing and origination. This is the moment your application is officially born. See, even before you apply, lenders are out there, marketing, trying to find people just like you. Once you show interest, they start sourcing the business, which is just a fancy way of saying they're turning you from a curious lead into a real applicant. And then the home loan origination process officially kicks in. A file is created, and your journey truly begins. Okay, so your application is in the system. Now it has to face its first big test. The bank has to answer a really fundamental question. Can we trust you to pay back what could be hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next, say, 30 years? And this is where the bank puts your entire financial life under a microscope. And I'm not just talking about your salary. This is a deep, almost forensic analysis of your financial health and all of your habits. And they are incredibly thorough. First, they do a credit analysis, and they're not just looking at your score. They're digging into your whole history, searching for red flags like late payments. Next, they look at your repayment capacity, usually by calculating your debt-to-income ratio, to make sure you're not stretched too thin. Based on that, they figure out your loan eligibility, the exact amount they're comfortable lending you. And finally, they consolidate all your sources of income to get the complete picture. Every single piece has to fit just right.
All right, so let's say you pass the financial test with flying colors. The bank thinks you're a worthy borrower. But believe it or not, that's only half the battle. Now, the bank turns its laser focus onto the other main character in this story, the property itself. You have to remember, the bank isn't just giving you money. It's investing in an asset, your future home. And to protect that investment, the property has to survive two completely separate and really intense examinations: a legal appraisal and a technical appraisal. And these two appraisals are asking totally different questions. The legal team is asking, who really owns this place? Is the title clean? Are there any old legal claims or debts attached to it? Meanwhile, the technical team is asking, okay, but what is this house actually worth? Is the foundation solid? Is it in a flood zone? The bank needs a confident yes to all of these questions. Think of the legal appraisal as a background check for the house. The bank's lawyers will trace the entire chain of ownership, sometimes going back decades, to be absolutely certain that the person selling the house has the clear, undisputed right to do so. A clean title means no nasty surprises later on for you, and definitely not for the bank. Now, the technical appraisal. This is the big reality check. An expert comes out to figure out the property's fair market value. And this is a huge step, because if the appraisal comes in lower than what you offered, it can put the entire deal in jeopardy. This is the bank's #1 defense against lending you, say, $500,000 for a house that's really only worth $400,000. So, you've been approved, the property has been approved, the two biggest hurdles are officially cleared. Now it's time for the final sprint to the finish line, which all leads to one thing: getting those keys in your hand. And this part, the end game, is surprisingly straightforward. First, you get the official thumbs up, the communication of approval. Second, you execute the agreements, which yes means signing a whole lot of paperwork. And third, the best part, the disbursement of funds. That's when the bank releases the money to the seller and the home is officially yours. But here's the thing, the story doesn't end when you get the keys. For the bank, a whole new, very long chapter is just beginning. For the next 15, 20, even 30 years, they'll be in what's called post-disbursement monitoring, which is just them making sure those monthly payments keep rolling in on time. And that brings us to the final act in the secret life of a home loan. Because really, every single loan journey ends in one of two ways: the happy ending, or the one that everyone really, really hopes to avoid? This is the happy ending we all aim for, right? Loan closure. After years and years of payments, you make that very last one. The debt is gone, the bank releases its claim on your property, and your home is 100% completely yours. The quest is complete. But what happens if life throws you a curveball and the payments stop? Well, this is where the bank has to switch to its plan B, the recovery process. It's a very serious, legally defined path a lender has to take to get its money back when a loan goes into default. And a key tool in their playbook for this is something called the SARFACI Act. Now, this law is a really big deal because it gives banks the power to seize and auction off a property to get their money back without having to go through a long, painful court battle. It's a powerful law that really highlights how serious a mortgage agreement is. And that brings our journey full circle. We've seen a loan's birth, we've seen the tough tests it has to pass, and we've seen its two very different endings. Understanding this whole process from the lender's point of view is, I think, incredibly empowering. So it just leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know their entire playbook, from the credit analysis to the SARFACI Act, what's the one thing you'll do differently the next time you step into this arena?